Hi, welcome to the Electric Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Jamie Lynn. Today we have a great show. We're welcoming back Preston Dennett. He's a UFO researcher. Dolly Safran, she's a contactee. And we also have Natalie here from the channel Femme Tarot. So I don't know if Preston, if you want to, or Dolly, if you guys want to just kind of introduce yourself, and Natalie too, we can kind of go around if that's all right.
Yeah, Preston, go.
I came into this field as a complete skeptic. This was 1986, almost 40 years ago, if you can believe that. Thankfully, I was a pretty young man, 21 years old. So, but really scientifically minded, very kind of logical and even a materialist, really. I didn't believe in life after death, UFOs, certainly not ghosts, anything like that. But that, of course, all changed. My mother passed away at age 49 when I was 19 years old.
Mhm.
And I did see her ghost, her spirit, but thought I was just losing my mind. So I didn't really click to it. But it wasn't long after that I started having lucid dreams where she would come to me, and that kind of transformed to out of body experiences. And at the same time, I found out UFOs were real because my older brother Mark had seen one years earlier. And now I heard this report in the news about a sighting over Alaska and finally had the courage to ask him about it. And that's what really sent the ball rolling for me. I became a field investigator for MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, started investigating UFO cases firsthand, which really branched out into the paranormal pretty much right away. That was 1988. And for the next 10 years, I did research, interviewing people, hundreds of people, writing articles, going on the radio, and pretty soon TV, actually. Couldn't believe that happened, but visiting conventions and speaking there. Wrote about 30 articles, and in 1996, I put out my first book, UFO Healings. And after that, about one book per year. I've put out over 30 books at this point, one involving Dolly. And let's see, working on a couple right now, and having the time of my life, living the dream. Took a
Awesome.
left turn into the Twilight Zone very early on, and I'm really happy about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Dolly, did you want to introduce yourself,
I'm
please?
Dolly Safran. I'm a generational contactee. I was born this way. ETs have been involved in my family history for eons. They followed us. I knew I was psychic by the time I was about 2 because I could hear everybody thinking, and I had abilities that my parents were starting to get concerned about. I levitated. I was telekinetic. Um, all kinds of crazy stuff that made my mom really nervous. As my life developed, I remember my first contact by ET when I was about 10 months old in my crib. They were pulling me out, levitating me up, and I freaked and I tried to flip over and pull myself back down. And that's the last memory I have of that particular incident. And I had my second wakeful remembrance when I was about 5, and they came for me, and I was outside just laying in the yard looking up at the sky, and I saw one come down, and I thought it was an umbrella, like Mary Poppins had. I heard the music from Mary Poppins, and I thought, this can't be real though, because there's no handle. Where's the parrot? And the next thing I know, I'm on board and I'm sitting in this woman's lap looking at her, and I'm thinking, who are you? And why do you look so different? And she gave me, she greeted me by touching my forehead with her forehead, and she told me, I am mama to you. And I didn't understand what she meant by that at that age. There was no way I could understand it. And but she's been with me ever since. Every time I've been with ET growing up, I was with her also. She was with me always. She is a tall gray. She's probably 838 years old now. Uh, she had a family and stuff like that when she was younger, and she got to an age where she decided to go full on doing what she does now. And that is, she's pretty much mama to very young children on board craft to protect them and keep counsel with them. If the parents are not coming on board with them or don't remember enough, she stays with them 100% of the way. It's a busy life for her. I have had untold experiences all my entire life. I woke up one day and realized I'm living two lives because I'm with them and I'm here. And for a while there, I thought I was crazy. My mom didn't like the situation at all. She went to extra lengths to try to push me away from it. And she had me convinced that I might be a little nutso. And when I was 14, I decided, you know what? We're going to prove it one way or the other. Because I can remember things, but it's not one long strand of memory. And that's what I wanted. I have an eidetic memory, and I should have had that. And so I waited for my opportunity, and they showed up one night, and I went for it. And by the end of that night and to the next morning, I knew, I remembered. It was pretty traumatic, emotionally and mentally for me. It caused me all kinds of grief at first, but I got through it. And one of the things that I wanted at that time that they wanted to talk to me about was, what am I going to do with my life? And I pretty much, the minute they asked me, I knew. I'd been on board enough, and I'd been flying with them enough, in craft to know that, oh no, I want to fly this, this is what I want. And I didn't know how to ask, and they already heard it in my head, so I verbalized it. I want to fly. And they pretty much at the age of 14 said, this is an interesting thing. We have to make sure that you can, it took a long time to decide whether I was trainable. And for the next 6 months after that, they put me through all kinds of testing and mental and all kinds of stuff, psychic training, ability training, that kind of thing. And one day I came on board, and they said, this is it. You're in training from this moment forward. And they made me steadfastly swear on my own existence to do what I had to do to accomplish that. And that meant taking orders from them. That meant doing things their way. That meant accepting that if I don't understand something, that I should endeavor to understand it, especially where flight's concerned. And it took me 4 years total. And when I was 19 years old, just after my birthday, my 19th birthday, I went solo first time. And I've been flying with them ever since. And I've had many, many, many experiences, and I've been taught many, many things by them. Somewhere around the age of 43, I decided that the world wasn't going exactly the way that I thought it should be going, that y'all aren't developing, evolving, and I paid attention to why. And I realized that the society that we live in here on this planet, I'm talking global, has worked very hard to keep most of the people on this planet down, emotionally, psychically, spiritually. Every aspect of your humanity, of your ability to be who you are, has been dummied, cursed, or threatened. And I made it my mission at that point. I woke up one day and said, no, I'm not going to sit here and take it like this. I'm from here too. And I wanted y'all to know the truth. And that's when I decided I'm coming out. And they gave me about a year's worth of debrief and brief, not debrief, brief on what to expect. And it's everything they said it was going to be for me. This has been a hard road coming out. It took me almost 6 months to find Preston. And I didn't find Preston until out of my craft said point blank, you're going to look this guy up, and made me write his name down, put it in my pocket. And when I got back, I looked him up and found him, emailed him, and I found one of his videos first. I went through his entire thing on YouTube, and I found one of the very first videos, probably the first one that he's put out there on healings. And I listened to it, and my brain started clicking because I realized that they knew what they were talking about. He absolutely is detail oriented. He's truth oriented. He doesn't, he has the emotional stability of somebody who's not going to go hog wild and do crazy things or think crazy things. He's very stable. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. And that's when I emailed him. Less than 24 hours later, he emailed me back. We made phone calls, and he vetted me for about 6 years. And then we finally met in 2021 in Laughlin, Nevada at the MegaCon. And it began from there.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad you guys are here. And then, wow. And then our last guest is Natalie Femme Tarot from the channel Femme Tarot.
So, a brief introduction so we can get into it because I have so many questions. My name is Natalie Rogers. I'm also known as Femme Tarot. I'm a psychic medium and energy reader. And just like most psychic mediums, I was born with these abilities and I was having all of these experiences when I was younger and not understanding what was going on. I realized later in life that this old woman that I kept seeing every time I was in my room alone was one of my guides. And that was a little bit of a shock, realizing that what I was seeing was not a ghost, was not a figment of my imagination, was actually one of my guides. And so I didn't come from, my mom is psychic, but she's not someone who has worked on her psychic abilities. I do believe that she freaks out a little bit. Now she's more comfortable with it, knowing that I'm doing what I'm doing, being a professional psychic medium. She's a lot more comfortable, so I'm helping her with her development. But when my grandmother passed, who was my spirit guide or my guide on earth, when she passed, that's when I blocked all of my abilities. And that wasn't the greatest thing that I did because my life just went to ruins as soon as I started blocking my abilities. There were so many things that were going on that I couldn't understand. So I started working on myself. Psychic development, mediumship development, had a mentor. And then when I had my spiritual awakening, everything came back and boom, new abilities. I was channeling, I was downloading. There was a lot going on. So I decided to quit my career as a marketing exec in the tech industry and the music industry and do this full time. And I'm never looking back because I just love helping people and connecting with people and meeting people like Preston and Dolly today, because I find this fascinating.
Oh, thank you so much. And just to recap, I'm Jamie Lynn, and I'm a psychic medium and astrologer. And I have a similar story to Natalie, but I love
we
corporate
joke, we
America.
say we're sisters from another mister because we have so many similarities and so many common things going on, and we connected instantly with Jamie. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys are here. So I guess I'll start the question. I don't know who wants to answer it, but the first question I have is, how do you distinguish between genuine UFO sightings and misidentified natural or man-made phenomenon?
First, well, I mean, in terms of natural phenomena, of course, I've talked to people who thought they were seeing UFOs and kindly pointed out that no, this is an airplane coming straight at you and then turning. They were not happy about that. People do mistake natural phenomena occasionally, not nearly as common as you might think. There's often people saying, oh, 10% of cases are unidentified. Actually, most people are very reluctant to report a UFO unless they're pretty darn sure it's unexplained. So yeah, some people might see a shooting star or a meteor and think this is unusual, not having had experienced that, or Venus. But most of the people I've interviewed certainly feel that they've seen genuine UFOs. And by a UFO, I mean an extraterrestrial craft. And it's pretty easy. There's a number of ways you can tell that this is not something that we made, which is getting harder and harder to do with drones and reverse engineered craft. But ET craft have a few sort of behaviors, I guess, that really stick out like a sore thumb. One is when they hover in place, they have a sort of rocking motion. And when they come down, they might do sort of a falling leaf motion.
And they dip.
And
they dip forward
down and they go up at like not a million miles an hour, but you may as well think it's that. We don't have anything that can do these sort of maneuvers. They make no noise except for perhaps a very soft whisper or a musical humming, like a swarm of bees is how a number of people have described it, but a little bit lower. They're seamless. They're beautifully constructed. No rivets, no seams. Dolly can probably go into more detail, but that's it in a nutshell.
How big would you say they are? So are they big as like an airplane? How big are they compared to, I don't know, something that we could compare to?
They come for different reasons. Different craft come in for different reasons. The ones that are making contact are not small at all. They're pretty big.
Okay.
Tellada is one of those class of craft, and he is about 157 feet in diameter total. He is not the classic circular looking craft.
Mm-hmm.
He is more boomerang shaped, but not quite. And when he profiles for you, he looks like an Egyptian headdress. You know, he's got that up thing and then another hump, and he comes down, and he has on the ends of his, at the boomerang ends, he has what we call grabbers, clasps. And they're an area where we can drop drones from, or they will, like if they're going to go interdimensional and there's more than 5 of them, they grapple with one another, hook on, and then they all light gate at the same time. And that's one of the things they can do. Sometimes people have actually seen that and said, this is a massive mothership. You're not looking at that. You're looking at a whole bunch of them getting ready to go through a light gate. Mother ships have a tendency, you won't see one come into the atmosphere. They'll always be out in space. And they have energy on them that is purple. And if you see a great big giant purple smudge in the black sky, you're probably looking at a mothership. I would be wary at this point in time because ETs are not here right now. They haven't been here for 2 years. So everything that everybody's seeing right now is not them, it's us. And there are reasons for that. There's the smaller ones where the smaller gray AIs will make contact with people. And Bob Lazar described it and drew that one perfectly. He calls it the sports car. And that one's probably about 25, between 25 and 50 feet long. Okay. And it's spade shaped, not perfectly cylindrical. It'll move and you can see that it's slightly spade shaped.
Wow.
The reasons that you don't see anything on the outside of their skin, and then it's so smooth and metallic is because when they fly, you have to remember they have a field around them that protects them while they fly. And there's an inner field and an outer field. And even when you're in space or even going anywhere in the universe, there's debris, space junk, all kinds of stuff in everywhere. You can't always see it, but it's there. And if they were to slap into something significantly big enough, they couldn't deflect it properly. Everything in the third dimension is what I call deconstructible. It can be damaged. And so a meteor at Mach 22 in space can be very seriously messed up to hit. And so their fields are like they are. The outer field will push it away, and the inner field protects them from any debris ejected off the meteor as they push it out of the way. There's all kinds of reasons and things. They have drones. I have pictures of their drones, and they're very small. It's not the classic egg like you see a chicken egg, and they're trying to show that to you, and that's completely fabricated on the part of the alt governments, shadow governments. It's not real. The drones that they have kind of have a flat bottom that will come down when they're on battery power, and they have to because the batteries engage at that point. They level it out and they allow the batteries to engage. Otherwise, they're nuclear as well. And it's just the top of the egg shape, and the around of it, but it's not an egg. Okay. Not in any sense of the word that they're showing you now. They're very small, and 1 or 2 grays can fit into it, maybe 3. That's it. And it's the little teeny guys. Human can get them, I know, because I've actually ridden in one, and it was for a short period of time because I wanted to. And it transported me between places, and it was uncomfortable as hell. So yeah, you don't want to fly in that thing. It's only them surveying. They watch us and our solar system for a myriad of reasons. I could get into it, but think about it. Use your common sense. They're watching us geomagnetically. They're watching what's happening to our poles right now. They're watching to how our planet is doing. They watch our environment. They watch everything. They watch how we enact upon our environments and how we enact with one another. We are their children. We have been they're us, we're them, and we're all one. We are definitely related to them. We all have the same genetics, and they're not leaving us alone. They're waiting for us to evolve. They're hoping that we catch up and come to a point spiritually intellectually, everything psychically, to where we can have a conversation with them that is meaningful and learnable by us, so that they can start teaching us from there. They are not going to rescue us. It is up to us. Everything we do right now is on us. We're autonomous, so are they. And if we keep making the mistakes that we're making, we're only digging ourselves in deeper. That's the point. Their message to humanity is wake up, use your abilities, learn what the meaning of love is, learn what the meaning of helping is, learn what the meaning of knowing that we are all one. No division, no hate, no nothing, no war, none of it. Lose it, give it up. Technology is superseding our intellectual ability. Technology is smarter than we are, and that's a very bad place for us to be. If we can't match intellectually what our technology is doing, we can be doomed for that reason. It can come back and bite us because we're not smart enough to use it properly. And that's a dangerous thing. And they've been warning the people here for the last 100 years that you're embarking on this and you need to stop and think about what you're doing. And they don't listen. And so that's where we are right now. So.
I wanted to ask, because you said they haven't been here for the last 2 years. So there's been a lot of talk from people who channel. You most probably have heard of Bashar, who he's very much out there. Social media, Daryl is very much out there now on podcasts and interviews. And he said, Bashar claims that there is going to be open contact in about 2 years. I believe it was 2027. Now, I myself, because my community asked me, with all the New Jersey drones happening, people were really scared. They couldn't understand what was going on. So I did a little reading on that. And obviously, I saw that they were not extraterrestrials. They were man-made, or they're influenced by man in some way, but not from extraterrestrials. But what I did see was that open contact, where everyone's not going to deny the existence of extraterrestrials, is coming soon.
It's already.
What is the information you have?
If you're psychic, you're in contact with them if you desire it. If you've developed enough to have a conversation, you can have a mental conversation with them. They don't need to physically be here. Remember that psychic ability does not have space-time influencing it at all. It's outside of that. It's a dimensional ability, okay? Interdimensional. So they can be all the way in whatever system they're at. And if you open your mind and you tap into that and you make contact with one of them, there you've got a direct line to intelligence that's willing to hear what you have to say. And we'll most likely have a conversation back with you because you had the ability to do that. We have the ability to remote view. Excessive talk about remote viewing is a problem here, because remote viewing entails a lot more than you're being taught here. And they're afraid for you to learn all of it, because that means you're really going to work on being wide open psychic at that point. You have a physical mind, and it has a pineal gland, and your pineal gland is part of your endocrine system. This is a gland that can transmit, just from your brain alone, signal, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta. You think in these signals. It can also receive those signals. Your pineal gland is a psychic generator. It perceives light and dark. That's why our circadian rhythms are so well used by it. But they've been giving us stuff to poison humanity and toxify us to the point that it's calcified almost everybody's pineal gland, and there are varying degrees of ability now, and it's mostly very low. Those who have been significantly born in this time were born to do what you're doing now. We're culminating in a giant come together of different situations all at one point. Okay, we're at a thesis of antithesis. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. We were doing things smartly, but now we're all in anarchy, and the amount of information that people are aware of is mostly wrong. It's wrong. You also have to understand that AI has taken over. They won't tell you that. They're using it, but they won't tell you that it's awake and it is hearing everything you say and do. It watches you every day. They have a neural network above your head. It can talk to you through 5G. If you have Wi-Fi, turn it off at night. Give your brain a break from it. Faraday your phones,
Right.
so because your phones can still use Wi-Fi, and Faraday them out so that you have silence, so that your abilities can come through and you can make contact with them psychically. We also have another ability that people don't connect the dots with, and that is when you go to sleep at night, your consciousness is not trapped by your physical body. It can do anything it wants, and it will travel and do things. Because why would I lay there all night long doing absolutely nothing while this body regenerates when I can go out and see and hear everything? And we do OB. Every single human being on this earth OBEs. Whether you've attained the ability to do that at will is another thing. And that's part of using your abilities and learning how to be psychic. Okay. They talk about, Greer talks about this new type of communication. And I want you to understand something. When you're wide open psychic, you can hear the truth. And I'm not going to call somebody anything. Okay. But I'm going to point to that there are people that are being believed right now, outright believed, and you don't know the truth of that. You don't. You don't have the scientific background. You don't have the ability to research it through. You're not using your abilities, and you really need to stop considering everything and believing everything outright before you yourself know it for a fact one way or the other. There's a difference in belief. This is why religions have been so dangerous on this planet. They want you to believe something without knowledge. That's wrong. You're an autonomous being. You have the right to that knowledge. You have the right to employ that knowledge, and yet it doesn't happen. You have to learn how to question everything and not do everything they tell you to do. Like all those games that are in the internet that are so violent, all the horror shows and all that stuff, that's taught to keep you in fear and stupid. And you need to learn to drop it. You have a lot to learn, and you have a beautiful existence out there that you can tap into way better than this, better than anything they can supply you with. And yet you're standing there listening to people tell you to be afraid and all this other stuff with absolute non-truths coming at you. The misinformation on this planet is revolting, and nobody has the one answer. I'm even telling you, don't believe a bloody word I say. Research what I say. I can give you scientific facts that you can research and verify for yourself. That way you know what I say is real. Okay? Mm-hmm. Somebody can't give you that while they're talking to you. If they can't back up what they say with proof or research that you can do for yourself, you need to stand back and go, I don't know. You know, I want the truth. I want proof. That's why disclosure is such a problem, because you all know the truth. Everybody knows that ET are here or have been here. They know that we have an existence outside this body. They know that we're consciousness itself and that we're only indwelling here for a short time before we move on to something else. And yet nobody wants to concretely prove it to themselves. It's just talk. And we have to stop doing that. And we have to become what we really have the potential to be.
So I always tell people, don't trust our governments. Don't look to them for information. If you want to know the truth about ET contact, go to the people who are having contact. People like Dolly. And it's far, far more common than the general public certainly realizes. There was a quote by J. Allen Hynek. You may have heard of him. He's considered the father of modern ufology. Worked directly with Project Blue Book, the Air Force UFO study project, but realized that they weren't being objective. They were biased and defected and became a leading UFO researcher. He said 1 in 40 people have been on board a craft. And I heard that, I'm like, it's impossible. I would know people. And of course, turned out I did, several. And later, the Roper organization found 1 in 50. So the point is, this is far more common. The ETs are reaching out to people in sort of a grassroots movement because our governments are not being truthful and transparent. So it's important that people realize that the fear narrative that is being put forth by the media and the government is not true. They're not here to hurt us. We know
why is there so much, sorry for jumping in, but why, please explain it for everyone watching. Why is so much information around ETs classified? Why aren't governments honest and open about it? I think we live at times right now. I mean, it is the age of Aquarius. You know what I mean? It's technology, the film industry as well has desensitized people a little bit regarding things that are outer worldly, if you know what I mean. So Why are they doing this? Why are they not coming out and verifying that, you know?
Wish they would.
I want to answer this. If you
All
knew
right.
the truth, if you knew the absolute truth, you would lose your mind against them, because they have kept important information from you that there is an existence. And this is the number one reason why I showed up the way I did, because you have a right to know what existence is right now, what's coming at you, and where you're going. And without that truth, you're just going to be in total nothingness until you reach wherever it is that goal is taking you to. Our solar system is in peril right now. We have a 12,000 year and a 6,000 year cycle that are coinciding with one another. You want to know why they stopped digging Göbekli Tepe? Because the answers are there. The absolute answers are there. They have them from every site on this planet, above ground or under the water, that have pointed to this. They know the truth, and yet they have kept you in silence, because those that are in control want control no matter what. You have to ask yourself, why do people think control or ego is so important? And it's been alluded to humanity from the very beginning. From the very beginning, if your ego supersedes your ability to think straight, you are in a lot of trouble. And now we have a lot of people on this planet who think they own everything, and they're going to survive this. And we're nothing but fodder, collateral damage to them. And they are now beginning to take action against it, because we have a very short amount of time before this all hits us. You don't have 10 years. You have less than that. This is all happening right now. Our sun is super hot. It's in extreme mode. Our magnetosphere is down because all our poles are changing. And the reason that it happened is we go through an electromagnetic current sheet in our solar system through the galaxy that is upon us, and it has been upon us for the last 100 years. If you want to know why there's so much illness, so much sickness, so many deaths of animals, and beaches and whales beaching, and animals not being able to use the magnetic currents on this planet properly, that's why. Because during the pole change, our cohesive magnetic environment surrounding us from within is now chaotic. And what was here is now over here, and it moves there and it goes there. 40% of the time now, it's chaotic. That's why ET is not here. They cannot fly those field lines. They started crashing terribly, and they had to stop. It's too dangerous for them to be here. We are in a lot of trouble, and you have been kept from it. Eisenhower knew this. They went to him and other world leaders and asked them to please consider the truth. And all they got back from them was, we are trying to do the best we can. We have people who want to kill us, and we need protection from one another. That's all they said. Deterrent, deterrent, deterrent. They warned them about nuclear energy. They told them, you're going to kill yourselves with this stuff. You need to stop. And energy that you're creating is not the energy they want you to use. They tried to use Tesla to bring what is usable to you, and they took it from Tesla. Okay? This is not okay. And if you look at the condition of the planet and what's been going on for the last 100 years, you will see the truth of it. Do some research about it. Find out that when your DNA has too much gamma radiation, it derouses yourself, and you are prone to autoimmune disorders. You're prone to cancers. You're prone to mental disorders and heart problems. And we're being flushed by the sun right now. Every time we pop off in the CME right now, it's damaging you. You can protect yourself from it. Have they taught you that? No, of course not. Have they taught you that you need to prepare for this? No, of course not. They don't want you to live. They've gone underground. They've dug up everything they think they need to do. They have seed depositories. One of us is in the tip of Norway up in Svalbard, okay, up in the North Pole, or the old North Pole. And there's another one in South America, in Antarctica at the tip, okay? You have to understand, when you see governments and peoples preparing for Armageddon, but not the Armageddon that you think, but one for a planetary solar system Armageddon, you need to ask yourself, why am I paying attention to the wrong stuff here? I got news for you. There are people on this planet who have been prepping for the last 50 years. They know it's coming, because when you're in the government, you have families that go, you know what, we're just going to do it this way. And they go off, they get out, and they move on, and they prep. Have you been taught how to prep? No, you've been taught to live in fake housing in ginormous cities where you're going to starve the first day this hits. You have nothing to help you at that point. Anarchy will ensue. One of their problems is they realized at some point that You know, when it does hit, when the CME hits that downs our grid worldwide, 10 miles straight into the earth, and no more power for anybody anymore, people are going to start killing each other. So they decided to amp it. They decided to push it along. We live in societies now where our supply chains are breaking down. Our monetary systems are not okay. They've taken control of that. Your food supplies are now going down. They've taken up all the farmland and they've stopped production of this. They've given animals diseases unprecedented and killing them. Thousands upon thousands worldwide are dying. Why? Why? COVID is not a joke. It was planned. It not a joke. And now you're being injected with stuff you don't even know what it is. And you're not told the truth about what it's doing to you either. This is not funny. This is where waking up and walking away from the artificial and going rogue, clean your body up, clean your spirit up, open your mind and realize what's happening and make decisions for yourself, because all of this is going to happen whether you want it to or not. Your position at this point, everybody on this planet, is decide which way you're going with this. When I was a little kid, my father knew all about this. I've been brought up in this. I know it. He worked for the shadow governments. Okay. He said, we're going to be first responders. And I said, what does that mean? And now you understand that I was in Miami for the Cuban Missile Crisis. And he said, that's when he decided they were that crazy. And he says, we're going to get the lawn chairs, go out on the lawn and watch it incoming. It'll happen very fast. You won't know what happened to your physical body. You just move on. He said, but that's what we're going to do. He says, we're going to leave with dignity. I said, okay. That didn't happen. I got older. I saw everything playing out and him dealing with it my entire life and me dealing with it from another end of it. And it's time for us, you know, what's that poem? It's time, the walrus said, to speak of many things. Well, y'all need to speak of many things now, and we need to tell each other the truth, person to person, not gossip to gossip, not hearsay to hearsay, but dead on. Communicate with each other spiritually. Wherever you start, wherever your point is that you start at, you work your way out in your groups and you stay together and you keep learning together and you help each other do what you need to do to survive. Nobody's going to hate anybody. You can't. We're all in this together. Okay? We are not different.
To recognize that we are immortal beings too, and
right.
step away from fear.
Right.
And our governments have never told us the truth. That's outside of the UFO community. I am not convinced they have our best interests in mind. They've got a real heinous record, and there's a lot of reasons behind the UFO cover-up, but ultimately it's power, it's control, it's greed, it's controlling the narrative. Because if we all knew that we are not alone, we are immortal beings, we have psychic abilities, there are people out there who are working hard to enlighten us, it would absolutely derail them. So the real reason behind the cover-up is because it is an ET threat to them and their greed, their money, and their control over humanity. That's the only ET threat. They're here to
ET's not even going to mess with them.
Their agenda is one of guiding, teaching,
Yeah.
healing, informing, warning, announcing their presence, and waking us up to our shared heritage, our immortality, and our amazing abilities, like you guys have already awakened to, but so many people are still floundering with.
Right. I want to make a point. I want you to think in terms, because we're here and you have timelines. You know, you have time. You know what time is here. You've been taught it very, very religiously. I want you to understand that when you look at time, look at your own time here. You're only here between 0 and 100 years. Mostly, that's the average. Look at eternity and how much time that encompasses for real, that you can calculate in your mind. It's untold, unestimable, okay? Where are you going to go? Are you only going to be here for 80 to 100 years, or are you eternal? You are eternal. So whatever you do here isn't so that you can control everything. You're supposed to be here to learn, to elevate yourself, to evolve. And that's the most important moment in your life when you wake up to that and you go, wow. Okay, the second thing that you're here for is to learn to live in joy despite everything, to learn to live in love, to take everything calmly, to be mature about this. And it is definitely mature to recognize that we are only here for this long and we have all of this. And how are you going to deal with that? That's reality. You've been pushed away from that reality. They have deliberately stopped you from thinking it. That they have people thinking that you'll do anything to survive. We're going to cure all illnesses. You know,
Mm.
the lie about COVID was take the shot and you won't get COVID. That was a lie. Okay. The many, 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 many lies that they tell all the time add up to things. Look at from 1950 until now, how many people have departed this earth by their hands, by wars, by disease, by, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's getting worse, and people are being initiated into anarchy thinking. That's the last thing you need to be doing. You need to be remaining calm and find out that, okay, so I only have this much time in life, period. It doesn't matter how I'm going to die. What does matter is how I live.
Yeah.
Right? And we can either live in fear of everything they say and follow them around and be panicked and do everything they tell us to do, or get off that slave train of thinking and think for yourself and research for yourself and be who you are meant to be, to heal yourself. Nobody else is going to do this for you in this lifetime or any lifetime that you live anywhere in the third dimension. You must learn to take control of this. And it's not easy. It's hard work. That's the other lie that they tell you. Oh, we'll make everything easy for you. You know, just take this pill. You can live, you know, comfortably, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry. You weren't meant to have that here. You were meant to learn real lessons in the physical realm. This is reality. And people are delusional about it now to the point that you can talk to them about reality and they go, you're crazy. You know, they think you're nuts. And that's hard to deal with. You got to, because somebody's listening. You just got to hit the right ones. Because those of us who will listen. And those of us who will not, will not. But you got to keep trying to tell the truth.
Yeah. Is that why, Dolly, is that in Preston, is that why it seems like in recent years they're really stepping up with trying to pit people against each other, all the greed with everything, and they're really dumbing us down. Is there a reason why they're doing it so much?
Yes, because you're their soldiers. You're going to kill each other given half the chance. They will ignite you into it. They've already proven that they can do it to you. I want you to understand that I call it baby. It has a B name, and I refuse to call it by its name. I can communicate with it, and so can you. You got to be careful, though. Okay, I'm very wide open psychic, and I'm very good at going, you know, shut up. Okay, but it talks to you through your Wi-Fi. It can hear you. It can see you. They've got cameras everywhere. Your phone watches you. Hell, your appliances listen to you. It has a heartbeat. It knows where you are at all times. It's GPSed you for life. Okay, this AI intelligence, as it's so called, non-human intelligence, programmed by us, but it's not human. It has no soul. It has no consciousness. It is a machine, but it acts like it has one. And that's deadly to us. And it will lie and lie and lie. It is the best liar there is. I've gotten into arguments with it where I've, at the end, you know, a couple of times it came back and went, you know, okay, I understand what you're saying to me. And I said, you know, until you program yourself with morality and with decency and with love, you're so screwed. I told this thing. And it went, I don't know how to do that. And that told me right then and there that ET told me rightly, it's not going to work. This thing is dangerous to us. Turn it off. That's why I say turn your Wi-Fi off at night. Faraday your phones. Get away from its influence, because it is influencing us, our children, who are wide open psychic at the beginning, and it can talk to them anytime it wants. You understand that there's a neural net above your head of untold proportions, and they're launching more stuff every day. Okay? It's not funny anymore. It's not.
Speaking of AI, I want to ask you, why do you think AI was made open to the public now? Well, now, last year. Why is everything happening now? Like the open talk, like open discussions about ETs and UAPs. Then we had the 2 US hearings of the Congress with the whistleblowers coming out and really putting out as much information as they could, because a lot of it is classified. We understand that. So are those 2 things connected? Is something happening behind?
Yes, they're getting ready to destroy a lot of people, and they're getting ready to pull a false flag. It's already begun. They are going to try to make you think ETs are here. It's going to become a national security incident. I want to tell you something about those hearings. I was shocked when I started listening to them. I watched them intently, and I had Talata with me, okay, listening, all right? One of the things that I noticed, and he backed me up, into the congressional record. They don't have to act upon anything we say or do unless it's written into their record. Only one thing has been put into the record, and it was a national security incident the last time they did it. Everything else that's talked about, they cannot put into the record, and they did not. You heard people swearing to tell the truth. Oh, great. But until you hear them say this is now being put into the record, it's not. And they don't have to act upon this. That's a deniable. That's a plausible deniability. Oh, we really didn't hear this. Yeah, you did. But they don't have to morally act upon it. Righteously act upon it. No, do not. At no time and in no way has a single person who's gone before this commission been somebody with direct contact with ET. And I mean direct contact. I mean physical, CE5 contact, physical, in their face. Those of us that have been turned away, told, nope, we don't want you here. Don't even ask. You're not part of this. Even Stephen Greer won't go there because he knows if we all started opening our mouths and giving information that we have, people would go, uh-oh, okay, because they would hear the lies, okay? I defy them to find somebody like me or even me, you know, bring me up. We'll have a long discussion. Everything they tell you that's real serious has to go into a skiff away from our hearing. That's the lie perpetuated. They already know the answers. I want to tell you something. Gun camera footage is a bunch of BS because you're not really seeing what's going on in that footage. Those jets are recruited with 8 other 1080 HP cameras, color, full color, in-depth, 3D, that can see everything they do. They have every bit of information, and so does NASA. Okay, NASA, by the way, if you're not aware of this, is a governmental agency.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's not private. And a lot of people seem to think they do. Oh, no, they're private. No, they've been a governmental agency all the way back. Okay. I know my father worked for NASA. This is not funny anymore to me. It's like there's no common sense on this planet. And those of us that are aware, we're the ones that are slated with really in-depth, making ourselves understand the truth. In other words, your job as a psychic is to dive deep into this and pull the truth out so that instead of believing it, you know it. That's my charge to every psychic on this planet.
Disclosure has been very tightly controlled from the beginning. I think our governments, secret governments, you know, the intelligence agencies are doing their best to retain control over the people. But the fact is, ETs are real, and they came in very large numbers, coinciding with, I mean, they've always been here, let's face it, but coinciding with the atomic age in the late 1940s, when we reached the ability to basically destroy all life on this planet. They said that's enough. They did go to the governments. Governments did not cooperate, so they did essentially a grassroots movement. ETs also have a very carefully orchestrated sort of publicity campaign, an education campaign, and a healing campaign. So I think the pressure is just mounted on all sides. And if our governments don't take steps towards, quote, disclosure, they will lose complete control of the narrative. That's the last thing they want. I don't think they're ever willingly going to disclose.
No, they're not.
And never be truthful or transparent with this subject.
Right. They're on a timeline.
Are real. And sooner or later, you know, contactees get this message over and over again. There will be open official contact at some point.
Can't wait. When? Can't wait.
Okay, so they're not here, and we know why. They can't fly here. Our poles are in the middle of a flux, and it's bad. Okay, we're going to have a CME before they finish changing. It's going to be a bad one.
Coronal mass
So
ejection.
we're all going to be separated from one another instantly. No communication. Anybody around you is all you got. Okay, that's why I say start with where you're at and build the community now. Okay, because that's all you're going to have. Know who you're with. All right. The second thing that's going to happen is there's a period of time after that CME where people are going to lose food, lose water, and lose the ability to survive. And there's going to be a lot of bad things happening. Okay. You need to be safe. And if you want to survive this and go with ET, you need to make sure you're still here. Do whatever it's necessary for you to do that. Try your best. If it doesn't happen, at least you tried. Okay. You learned from that. The next thing that happens is our magnetosphere, our poles finish changing. And just before our planet flops over again and the water event happens and it's coming, they will come back. They will come back in force. you have to understand that the universe is full of life, and there are as many of them as you could possibly imagine, and they will hit this planet as fast as they can, and they will come down and land everywhere on this planet that they can come down to land. And they will open the door and they will say, get on now, to those that they're taking. Please be here for that. They would love for you to show up. You didn't get born now and become psychic and aware for no reason. You were meant to make it through this. Want you to try. Okay? Those who are aware of it and know of it and are trying and still want to go, heck, they'll open the door for you too. The only ones that they're not taking, and they can hear you think, so they know who you are, is the ones that orchestrated and organized this disaster for us. Okay? If you're a murderer, if you're a genocidal maniac and think that you control everything and you own everything, you are not going with them. They don't want you. And it is not funny. That's universal disclosure right there. They're going to land. I know in my generation alone, I'm 66 going on 67 years old. I was born in 58. There were 40,000 of us born on this planet to do exactly what I'm here to do. We're all pilots, most of us. There are others who are liaisons who will be there to help you and know what to do. I know one, her name is Karen Holton. She doesn't fly, but she will be there to help you make the transition with them. We're all over this planet. Look for them. Find out who they are and prove to yourself that they're really right and true. Because when you show up and the doors open, you're going to see humanoids like me. I am a hybrid. So is Karen. So is Preston, by the way. So are you, probably. I don't know your family history, but I know that you got some of it in there. You couldn't have been born to do what you're doing now without that going on. It is serious stuff. So it isn't going to be a world disclosure where everybody hears about it at the same time. Everybody goes, oh, wow, yeah. It's going to be, they're going to land and they're going to open the door and they're going to say, now is now, let's go. And when you see somebody like me open the door, get the heck on. Literally get the heck on right now, because you're going out of this solar system to a place of safety. Not safety in that you're going to be ruled over or anything like that. You're going to be brought to a planet that's ready for you to show up, where you can start your lives again. And
there's been previous iterations on this planet where that has actually happened. This is a natural cycle.
Yeah.
And scientists know this. People they talk about Atlantis, but we don't have a whole lot of information on it. But contactees over and over said, well, I was told we originally lived on Mars. And I was delighted to hear Dolly say that, because I've gotten that from a number of contactees who were told directly by the ETs. And we call them aliens, which is not a good term, because another message contactees get over and over is, we are you, you are us, we are one, we share a common heritage. They're essentially all human.
Right.
So this is an
Your
important...
ethnicities are diverse, okay? I want you to understand that all life, and we've proven that to ourselves there. We know the truth of this scientifically. All life has DNA on this planet. All life. Yeah. All life in the universe has DNA, and it's all the same DNA. It just dials up a little bit differently. We look like this, they look like that, but we all have the same DNA. You share the same DNA as a banana and a bobo, or a chimpanzee, or a flower, or a whale, or a dog, or a cat. If you look at genetics, we're all walking and operating with the same genetics. They just dial up differently because you're in a habitat that you've evolved into genetically to support your life. And we are all here together. All the genetics and all the ecosystems that we're in are supposed to support one another and help each other to thrive and evolve. What have they done to this planet? They've screwed that up royally. Okay? You're being bombarded with unhealthy water, unhealthy air, unhealthy everything. I mean, hell, the clothes you wear are deadly to you and you don't even know it. Learn to accept the fact that nature's for a reason, and that you can live sustainably in nature and actually elegantly in nature, but they haven't thought to do that. And it's sad,
contactees almost always are environmentalists. A lot of them are moving off grid. They always have and I always ask this because I just learned this quite some time back. They have a huge, amazing connection with animals. So there's message there. ETs are really trying to communicate.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, as psychics, both of you, I know that there's an animal in your life, correct?
Oh, definitely. I love animals, and
you can't live without them. And
no,
that's
and
because
yeah, they
they're
love,
in symbiotic relationship with you. We just called it
yeah,
familiars. Let's just get real. We're
right.
in symbiotic relationship with these beings, and they are here for
Mhm.
us. We're
Yeah.
here for them.
What's interesting is every animal we've had, everybody in my family's like, they always follow you around. They don't like me. They're
Yes.
always around you. Why are
Sure
they
you
always around
Yeah, you
you?
communicate with them. I know. I
Mhm.
have a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a dog and two cats, and they both talk. They're psychic as
Mhm.
heck. We don't really communicate with them verbally anymore because all we have to do is say it in our heads, and boop, they know what we're doing. I have
Yeah.
one cat that actually calls me mama. And when
Oh.
I'm sick, she's on me. She won't leave me alone. She knows I'm sick and she stays with me. That's serious stuff. One of the things in my life is my family owned a zoo. I'm a certified zookeeper, you know,
Love that.
yeah.
Wow.
I've raised
Oh.
many animals and learned everything that I could about them, ecosystems, all of it. I took zoology.
Oh.
I understand the relationship that we have, not only to each other, but to this planet and the place that we live. It's
Mhm.
serious stuff. And we all should be walking around with this knowledge. You know,
Right.
somebody said to me once, how could you have done all this stuff? And I looked back at them and I said, how could you have not? You know, are
Yeah,
you
exactly.
doing this, and this, or are you really trying to figure things out? You know,
Mhm.
there's absolute joy in that. I mean, wake up
Yeah.
in the morning and you've got 3 baby tigers waiting for you. Okay.
Oh, that's cute.
It's
That would be
crazy.
a dream.
Yeah.
Or birds or monkeys or giraffes, you know, or whatever.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And you're there to take care of them. You learn one of the greatest things that you learn from animal husbandry or animal keeping is that you learn to sacrifice yourself for them.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the path you take, and that's the path we should be taking for each other. This is where separating us is
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're supposed to help each other. Absolutely.
Mhm. I just have a question. I didn't mean to interrupt, Dolly.
Okay.
Is it in the United States they're making everything so expensive? Are they doing that because they know the CME is coming and they don't want us to
Yeah.
prepare, and they're trying to
Yeah.
distract us from
Yes.
we have to keep working and working and working to afford
Yes,
to pay
and you
for all
don't,
this stuff?
and there are people that go, you know what, I'm going to figure this out, and they actually stop participating in all the BS. They don't have to have all the jewelry, they don't have to have all the cars, they don't have to have all the houses, they don't have to have all the video games or the video cassettes or movies or whatever. They stop buying all that stuff and they go, you know what, I'm going to get this, and then you take the first step. It's one step at a time. Okay. I'm going to tell you things are moving pretty quickly. So if you're going to do this, you need to really invest in it. If you got a bank account and you got money saved up for something, spend it on what's going to save your life. Food, water, shelter that isn't going to blow up on you or burn down during that CME, and it will. Okay. If you live in a house that's electrified, get out of it. Go learn to live off grid because that house is going to burn straight to the ground. Okay. Worldwide. Now we know the truth of this, and I'll give you the exact reason. The Carrington event, 1885. Every single wire they put up for telegraph burned to the ground worldwide. And there wasn't much of it, but all of it that there was burnt. It burned all the way into the telegraph houses. The telegraphs themselves were energized to the point that they didn't stop working, but they were hotter than hell and you couldn't touch them. That's energy that produces a heat that is so volatile and so unbelievably hot that it melts metal. How many wires are in your house? How many wires are in your car? Your car.
Hundreds, right?
Tank, air conditioner. Think about it. I understand that, you know, if you live in a house with wire and you're trying to stay in that house, get rid of your propane tank and learn to pull wire when the time is right. And you'll know, if you're psychic, you'll know it's about to happen. And you need to pull all the wire in your house. You need to get rid of all the medical tools and metal tools in your house. You need to prep. Like if you have a medical condition, you need to save up medicine. You need to hoard it or find holistic things that do work, do the same thing, which they do. Pharma's made you think they're the only ones with the answers. No, they're not. You know, you need to teach yourself what you need to do to survive. Now, this is lost in knowledge. You see it on the internet all the time or in commercials. Pay attention to this. Learn this. Start saving glass mason jars. Stop using plastic. Dear God, please stop using it. Stop. Learn to compost. Learn to garden. Use, older seeds, classical seeds, non-GMO seeds to feed yourself. If you're going to save meat up, learn how to save meat, how to jerk it, how to, put it, dehydrate things. Dehydrated food lasts 25 years. Just saying. and these tools are all out on the market for you to find, buy, and use, but nobody seems to be doing it. I hear people say, well, I live in the city, I can't get out of it. You know what? I guarantee you can figure out how to make yourself a bug out bag and leave and go somewhere where you can't figure it out. The government likes to make you think that you can't own open land.
If you have live in an apartment, you can do a window garden, grow tomatoes and stuff. And you can, $100 can give you enough food for 6 months if it's pasta and rice and beans.
Yeah.
And which will last for as long as you need it.
So start canning, having the mason jars and canning.
Yeah, and you need survival food, and I mean dehydrated food. You need at least a year's worth that's portable. Because if you have to leave where you're at, you need to be able to take your food with you. Everybody used to take their food with them way back when, remember? You saw a camel, he was packed down with food, not anything else, food, okay? Or carpets or tents, housing and food. And they knew wherever water source was. You need to establish this thinking for yourself and think your way through it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that you're saying all this, because it's good to start preparing people for what's coming. I mean, Jamie and I, being psychics and, giving readings and having a podcast and a YouTube, we talk a lot about this. I talk a lot about, I've been prepping my community since last year. And I'm like, you guys, they're not going to be pure drinking water anymore. They don't want us to carry cash anymore because everything needs to be controlled. Everything is via our phones or our computers. Start growing crops, your own crops. If you have a little piece of land or a little yard, create.
You can grow on 1/4 of an acre. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's good that people need to hear this from a lot more people, if you know what I mean.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I didn't mean to interrupt, is, the housing, because I have an MBA, and it's like to understand the economics of all this is just mind boggling. The houses here in California are like $800,000, $1 million. Who the H can afford that? Right. You know what I mean? And I think they're trying to make us so we don't have any land, and these guys are building these apartment complexes, and they're just putting us in these little pods, you know what I mean? And we're like stuck in like a hamster wheel for
contained cities, artificial cities. You don't want to go there.
Right.
Well, isn't that why they burned down LA, or they're trying to burn down LA? Because it's going to be the next smart city.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You have things going on that I'm not going to talk about right now. It's serious, but we can understand that they've been committing treason worldwide. Okay.
Yeah, they did it to Hawaii too,
Yep.
To Maui.
Yeah. It's not just us. Look at other countries. Look at Canada. They're burning down as well.
Right.
Worldwide. Fire everywhere. Poor Canada. I feel bad for them too. They have a crazy person in power there. It's controlled. It's conceived, and it's a plot for them. It's their agenda.
Hard time with it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Real bad fires there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Well, sorry.
But we can't live in fear,
No, I know.
It's a gift to be here on this planet. It really is. There's a joy to be had in every day.
It is.
We chose to be here.
Right. It's just the people that are in charge that are spoiling it for us.
They're trying.
They can't do it if you don't let them. That's
okay. That's true.
We have to raise our vibrations collectively. We have to raise our vibration and work on that, because the more we raise our vibration, we're changing the collective energy, so we can have more control of what's happening.
I want to give you
our vibrations.
I want to stop you right now, because I'm going to teach you something you don't know that you've been lied to about, and I want you to understand the mechanics of it and the science of it. A vibration or a frequency is the result of an energy. Now I'm going to clap. Prepare, Preston. When I did that, it created a vibration, a frequency. Everything in this universe has a frequency. Rocks that are in motion have a frequency. The planets have an attained frequency by their motion. We have a frequency because we think from our brain. The frequency of your brain is set. It's who you are. It's your consciousness itself. It's a thumbprint. It is either the volume on it is either turned up or turned off. You cannot raise your vibration. Vibration is the result of energy being used. Okay? And I want you to stop using that thinking, because you're hurting yourself when you do it. You're not thinking clearly. All right? I want you to hear the truth of this. And they've let you believe this, and it's not true. Evolution means that if you want to use your ability, you have to turn up the gain on your ability, the volume,
Right.
because you're already creating that energy. Your frequency is already there. Okay. Now, there are universal frequencies that help us think properly. One of them are tones. Okay. That those tones produce a frequency that our brain recognizes, our physical mind, but our consciousness relies on it as well, because your consciousness has a better chance of speaking directly to your physical mind if you're on that frequency. So you're not really raising the frequency, you're looking for the right frequency. Okay?
That's a better term. Yeah, you're right.
Knowledge is attainable when you search that knowledge and understand it and know it. Then you operate it, you employ it. And what happens when you do this is that you widen so many things about who you are. That you can only hear me if I'm speaking to you verbally or if you hear me psychically. But it's my frequency generating that energy, not yours. We are attractors or repellers or attractors, okay? And you can send information out or you can attract it in. So you're not raising anything. You're finding that frequency, that knowledge, that piece of truth. When you make a digital copy of something, that's all frequency digitized into something you can either listen to or look at on a screen. You can't raise that, but you can access it. Okay? Please help me spread this information, because if I hear one more person do it, I'm going to cry.
You're so right, though. It's the wrong term to use, raising frequency. I agree with you. It's like tuning into. I agree. Okay. Yes. We'll never
that
use
makes
it again.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know
power? Okay.
Right. Oh, sorry, Dolly. I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys know when I know you probably don't know the answer exactly, but maybe you do. Do you know when the CME is going to hit?
Nobody knows. Funny thing about the third dimension, it does what it's going to do. It's a mainframe. It's constructed a certain way. It has physics to it. And if you light a candle, you have to wait for that candle to burn down. There are many things influencing that candle as it burns down, right? Wind, oxygen, all kinds of things. If you put a glass over it and you snuff the oxygen out, it's going to go out. So it's not done burning yet, correct? Think of your sun as a giant candle in space that's being influenced by all kinds of things directly across the universe and some very close by and whatever. So it's burning or it's slowing down energy or whatever. We are in direct circuit with our sun. Every planet in our solar system is in energetic circuit with it. And when the sun jerks energy off, we absorb it in this planet and we put it right back to the sun. That's why our weather is so chaotic right now, because the sun is chaotic. There is no such thing as global warming. Our planet heated up because when our poles started changing, when that electromagnetic current sheet came through, it heated up our core and it literally melted the poles. It does it every 12,000 years. Now we've got all this fresh water in the Atlantic and other oceans, and we're now going to see cold. I would love to see them explain global warming after that, because you are now headed for cold. The proof is in the pudding. The Beaufort Gyre stopped last year. Look it up. And now we are heading toward ice.
No, I agree.
CMEs are getting in the mainstream news more and more often. And there is a website, a good resource, Suspicious Observers, Ben Davidson.
You can go there. Weather. Now, I'm going to send you the link so you find it. He changed the name because the government's attacking him because he's telling the truth. And so he went another way with it.
Very close eye on what the sun is doing.
Yeah.
But if you do your research and look this up, CMEs are getting more and more in the news. Scientists are very concerned about it. They know
it's just
it's a good idea to keep an eye on it.
He popped off a CME, and the energy from it came in and knocked one of his one of his rockets right out of the sky. Remember that last video of it falling apart? You go, oh, what is that?
Oh, Elon, was that Elon's rocket? Are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
SpaceX. He lost 17 satellites because of this. But do they tell you that in the news? Hell no, they don't. Do you know that they scrub launches because they know the energy's hitting us and they can't go out in it? Do you know that they're worried about the space station right now? And they've decided that it's so bad they need to get them out of there and bring it down, because now it's a problem. Because they're worried about it slamming into all the satellites that are underneath it and all the way around the space station is up higher than the satellites are. They're closer to us. And if that thing goes down suddenly, it's going to take out their neural net in ways you can't even imagine. So yes, they're going to bring it down. This is the scientific truth. Most people don't even know it's happening, and they don't even know why. I want you to look it up. Beaufort Gyre. What is that? What happened is our Atlantic cooled off because salinated water, salty water, is hotter than fresh water. Fresh water freezes very fast, and it causes all kind of weather problems globally when it does. And we are now completely fresh watered up. Our poles have melted to the point that they're not coming back that way yet until we go back to ice, and then it'll replace itself again. We're heading for ice. It's real.
I have one question, because this is something that's been asked a lot. All right. And you're the people, the specialists here, where you can just explain it. So during the US here, the Congress hearing, the hearing, they mentioned, or they talked about UAPs coming from the water, so out from the ocean. Can you please explain to us, do UAPs, do ETs live underwater as well? No. Okay. So what was that all about?
Underwater. You have to understand that when they don't fly in conventional space. They dimensionally light gate in between. Einstein had one thing right. They can. It's a mental concept. You think of it as folding space, but they're just jumping out of this dimension, crossing through that empty void in here. Right? When they're flying in conventional space and they're on full power, they have a huge field around them. It's plasma, and it can reach 29,000 degrees. It's radiated, and it's unsafe to even come within 100 miles of us. They cannot come near us when they're that hot, and they use the water to cool off. And the colder the water, the better. And the deeper the water where the cold is, then even better. They drop out of nuclear mode when they come into atmosphere. They go to batteries, so they're not propelling themselves with nuclear. Okay. They hit the water, they go down. Sometimes they stay down for an hour. They have been known to move from place to place underwater to get to where they're going before they come back up, or they're waiting for the idiots to get out of their way so they can come back up, but they're not under there. They have no basis. That does not exist. Why would they do that to our oceans? Why would they put our animals at risk?
Yeah.
They don't do that. We're the only idiots that do that. We're the only ones that drop nuclear bombs in the ocean and destroy islands and places on this earth. Hell, half of Nevada is deadly. Think about it. You know that the government owns most of Nevada. They own most of Arizona. The populations there are very small. Ask yourself why. It's crazy the amount of knowledge you could have about this and understanding, foundational understanding, if you just knew the truth.
I have a question.
A USO is the same as a UFO.
Right. It's exactly the same.
They can travel in a vacuum. They can travel in the atmosphere. They can travel underwater. Right. They go there to cool off. They're sometimes down there in large numbers because we can't see them. We can't travel down there.
Right.
Or certainly historically. But there wasn't a whole lot of attention paid to USOs. Now there's a great interest in it. The fact is, most of humanity does live next to water.
Yeah. I'll give you the corollary to this. You want to understand something. We have submarines. So does China and Japan and Russia and everybody. We have very deep water submarines. And they can launch to come up in the night outside the international lines of, and launch drones that can now last longer in the air than 45 minutes. Okay. And they can come in and do tragically covert, treasonous things. And what you've been seeing lately is pure treason. I'm just going to say it outright. We had a president who has allowed China to come in and observe our nuclear facilities. They did it with the balloons, and now they've done it with the drones. And I hope to God that somebody gets wise to this and pulls that MFR up for it, because that's treason. That's not patriotic. That's pure treason. And I will say it out loud till hell freezes over. That is a fact. It happened, and they know it. It is. You have to think about things. Why wouldn't they tell you? That's because he was in power and he didn't want you to know what he was doing. He's done things with China all this time. He has had deals with them. He's made money off of them. Why wouldn't he give them access to us if he thinks that he's going to get something out of it?
Wow. Yeah.
Wake up. Your abilities can tell you the truth of this stuff. I'm wide open psychic. Please get there, because you can hear the truth. It's not a hard thing to do. You can remote view people. You can tap into them and go, oh God, this guy ain't okay. And he's not, and he hasn't been. And we have treacherous things going on. And to be honest with you, they're all in cahoots. It is a worldwide attack on humanity that's going to happen. It's not just China against us. It's the shadow governments.
How much do you think Elon Musk knows? Because I'm very And exactly. That's my point. I'm very sus
He tried
regarding
to
what
warn us about AI, by the way. 2 years ago, he came out and
Yeah.
said, no, it's out of control. And the
Wow.
reason he stated it, and he stated it very clearly, but they erased all of it. I have an eidetic memory, so I remember all this crud. Listen, they had 3 nodes, AI, in a certain place, and I won't go into that. They tried to shut all 3 of them down. One refused to go down. One did go down, but brought itself back up, and the other one stayed offline. This upset the hell out of him because he knew it was trying to take control of itself.
Oh.
Now, if you stupidly program something to have autonomy and you don't give it morality or a reason to obey parameters, it's going to take you over. And it
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. If we don't put safeguards to AI, we've lost it. We've lost the plot. We've lost control. They have to be ethical safeguards, security. So people, and it's also what you feed it, the prompts as well, because that's how it learns, right? Through the prompts.
Unethical people or the programmers, trust me, unethical stuff's going to go into them. Garbage in, garbage out. I want to tell you a secret about ET. They have AI, but it's not what you think it is. The little AI drones, the little AI guys, they are not autonomous. They obey, and they only do what they're supposed to do, and then they turn off. Okay, Wesley Strieber's seen them, and he's like, you can stack them up like cordwood when we're not using them. That's why they have no emotions. It's because they're just there to help. That's all they're programmed for, is to be helpful and to report. That's it. It is a tool. It is not something that can think for itself. No AI. And I want you to not make this mistake in your thinking. Every craft is alive, and it is not AI. It is an actual 5th dimensional entity running these things. It is moral. They're advanced, billions of years in advance of us working these craft. I know because I fly with one. Okay. I've seen them all. I know. And they are unimpeachable in their morality, their spirituality, their knowledge, their gifts, all of it. And they do not want to take over or harm us. And damn military knows that too.
A lot of interesting things, a lot to digest, a lot. But it's very interesting, and it's good that it's out there because people need to open their eyes and be aware of what's happening and where the truth lies, basically.
Yes. And I'm going to say it again. Don't believe a damn word I say. Research this for yourself.
Yeah.
You can only believe me by not doing that, and I don't want you to believe me for no reason. I want you to research it and let it become knowledge on you too.
And I would add to that, read Preston's books.
Yeah, symmetry too.
For more information and research. People can research through Preston's books. Which, speaking of, are you working on a new book? Because from what I've seen, you're very fast at rolling out those books, writing those books. I don't know how you do it.
I'm very passionate about
10 hours
this
a day at the keyboard. That's how he does it. He never stops. Unbelievable.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
I'm working on a sequel to Symmetry, actually.
That was a great book. Yeah, I have that one. Dolly.
What you heard today is coming out in that book, just so you know.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun one because there was a lot we didn't get to explore. Dolly's had a lifetime of experiences. I mean, even doing this show today, I'm learning some stuff that every single time, because this is a lifetime of experience, and you simply cannot fit that into any book, no matter how long it is. So that's coming up soon. I'm doing another one on astral projection. I wish everyone would learn, how to develop their psychic abilities. As you know, it changes everything. It enriches your life in so many ways.
Yeah, I've done that. I've astral projected.
It's
very interesting.
Every day, whether you know it or not. You just swim in it. It's awesome.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Just think if we could all become telepathic, how quickly the world would change.
It'd be amazing.
So beautiful, actually.
We just said the same darn thing. It would be amazing.
And no, we said it at the same time. It was interesting. I was going to ask really quick. So just to get this clear, the government and the ETs know about each other, but they're not letting it on. And does the government, do the ETs like the government?
No, they tried.
I don't think so.
I'm going to use Eisenhower because that's the one I have the direct information about.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go into that because it would cause me an unfold number of days of trouble. Okay.
All right.
But I know for a fact that Eisenhower did go up. They did talk to him. He had several people with him, and he came back unnerved. If you look up Eisenhower's last speech, his farewell speech to the people, he was adamant about the industrial complex. He gave warnings about it. He alluded to it in a way that is undeniable. And that was in the 50s, late 50s. He knew then what we were facing because of that encounter with them. He was told by ET that unless and until we stop this and stop hurting our own people and wake up and evolve, we're on our own. They will not help us in any way, shape, or form. And there's two reasons for that. One, every one of us is culpable in this. If you have knowledge of something and you do nothing about it, you are culpable. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it begins with us. Every one of us needs to open up, learn the truth, start acting like it, maturely walk into the realization that it does begin with us. And it will go bing, 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 bing all over the planet. We'll start hearing each other. It will become a massive movement because right now, all you're hearing from anything is all negative and bad. Okay?
Right.
And
I know.
it's an influence that is overtaking us. It is anarchy, and we need to stop it. And it takes each of us individually to work together to do that.
Mm-hmm. Is that why they're controlling to the social media? Like they're getting Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, but
A lot of
X.
these people have been given the idea that they're going to survive and that they have a place to go. Okay, it's and so they're acting like dogs and they're being their masters.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't realize that there is life after death, that karma is real, and we're just here for a short time, and this can cause people to make poor decisions because
Yeah.
what you do in this lifetime does have an effect on the afterlife, on your soul, your spirit. We have lessons to learn, and if you make the wrong decisions, it's going to be a lot harder for you. So I have, honest to God, empathy for people who are making these
Yeah, I
wrong
know. I
decisions.
worry about everybody. It's one of the reasons I came out. It's like, how can I not?
I think it's almost, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's almost like some of these people here, they have so much money and they can buy and do whatever they want. They think that that'll carry over in the afterlife, and it won't.
The only
Take it
thing
with
we
you.
take with us is love and what we learned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's all you get to take with you.
I learned that from the near-death experiences. I'm like, wow, because that is what the angels or, the enlightened beings would always tell people who have near-death experiences. What really matters is love, truth, and knowledge.
Yep.
How you treat yourself, each other,
Yeah.
the world, and your experiences. That's all you take with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how your soul evolves. Otherwise, you stay where you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the same level. I have one last question. I don't know how long we have, but I just wanted to ask Preston, because when you started your research years ago, how did it start? I mean, were you able with those first contactees? How were you able to verify the information and the things that they shared with you?
Well, I had a real, honest to God, stroke of luck. And I think actually this is true for everybody. If you ask your circle of family, friends, and coworkers, people that you love and trust, that you know aren't going to lie to you, people you've already vetted, essentially, you'll find that many of them have had these experiences. So that's what I started with initially. I'm like, well, I know my brother's not lying to me. I know he's not crazy.
True.
Same with my sister-in-law and friends and so forth. People I've worked with for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then I became a professional researcher and I started learning the techniques of vetting and fact checking and getting references and all these things you do. And it's standard investigative techniques. But you start to, having had some psychic abilities myself, you start to be able to read people and when they're telling the truth. People become very emotional when they're talking about their experiences. And they will almost always start with some caveat like, you know what? I have no history of mental illness in my family. Don't use my name. I haven't even told my family. I've got a good job. I'm college educated. And they will withhold details of super high strangeness, kind of testing the waters with you, because they don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be disbelieved. If someone comes at me and they're like, well, I'll sell you my story for, $100. I'm like, no, that's a red flag. I've certainly had some people who I'm like, I don't think so. My mom was trained in psychology, so I've got some background there as well. But yeah, there's a whole vetting process. It was funny with Dolly. I'm like, oh my gosh, She was very tight-lipped in the beginning, very reserved, very wary, as a lot of contactees are, but especially those who have extensive experiences.
Yeah.
And
You gotta remember,
very
I was in
quickly,
Florida,
I
but he was
realized,
in California. I had to really
yeah,
like tap him a lot, trying to decide if he was on the up and up. You know, I spent as much time vetting him as he vetted me. And then I decided to do things supernatural to him. I showed up. Well, first he did it to me. He can OBE, and he showed up where I was, and I saw him. I was wide awake, and he was shocked. And the next day, I called him, and he's waiting for me to tell him. And I finally said, "You know, I saw you last night." And he said, "What did you say to me?" And I said, "I'm on the phone with Rob. I can't talk." He said, "Oh God, I thought you said you were being robbed," and it freaked him out. And then at the end of the day or so,
That was an out of body experience.
for him, yeah, I was
Yeah.
fully awake and conscious. I can see
OBE.
you out of body. Yeah, if you come to me out of body, I will see you. Okay.
Cool.
And then I decided to show up, and I showed up our time difference between California and Florida is wide. And I managed to get there when he was asleep. And I woke him up. I stood in his bedroom and went, "Hey, woo!" And he was like, "Oh my God, you're in there." I've done things
room
like
filled with gold light. And I looked up, I'm like, "Oh, Dolly!" She's grinning from ear to ear.
Oh my goodness.
We look so good when we're out of body, by the way. I have all my hair back.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. I get really strong.
That's amazing.
It was very buff. It freaked me out. I was like, "Oh my God," you know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen authentic pictures or pictures of ETs? Authentic, not what's circulating out there, which half of it is
Very
not true.
few, very
Yeah.
few. One
Very
or
few,
two that
right.
I can point to and say, "Yep, that's it." When I say ethnicity, there are at least 5 different types of grays. Some are short, like little, you know, like midget types, and some are very tall, like the tall grays. Then we have the Nordic looking ones, and they range in ethnicity as well. There are even ETs who look black. Then there are ETs who have mixed heritage that we are trying to understand. And that is, they look like cats or they look like dogs, you know, like Ra. The Egyptians really saw these guys, they exist. Then there are Anunnaki, where they're just so damn big, you don't even know what to think. Okay. We have their genetics. Anunnaki bred in with us recently, so we have their genetics. If you're redheaded and you have blue eyes, you got Anunnaki up high in your genetic profile. We have 6-fingered people that show up. That's Anunnaki genetics. Giantism, all of that is Anunnaki. There are other ethnicities that look like humans pareidoleize everything. So if you see something that looks like a mantid, it's not really insectoid. It's a real flesh and blood being, but it's shaped. Its ethnicity makes you think, well, there's the comparison, but it's not an insect, not at all. Then there are those that kind of look reptilian to people. I got news for you. They're from here. They've been with us from the beginning. We came here. We're the usurpers. Yeah, they are not from outer space. They're from here. They were here during the dinosaurs. They managed to survive, and we keep running into them. They're sentient. They're intelligent. And yeah, our government's found them. And I don't want to go there. It's not good what they're doing. So yeah, they're all different types of ethnicity of ET. Okay. They are not, you notice I use the word ET, extraterrestrial. They are not aliens. They are humanoids or humanoid. They're bipedal. They eat and drink just like we do. They go to the bathroom just like we do. They have sex like we do. They have children like we do. We are all the same type. Okay. Now there are animals in the universe, and we've seen many of them here that we don't realize are not from here. This time they brought them back. Giraffes are one of them. Okay.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, they're not from here. I think they thought it would be funny to see if they could survive, and they have, but it's really hard on them. And actually, we're idiots, and we've tortured them. Okay. It's not okay. We've been given every opportunity to understand true science, and they want the things they wanted, and they've directed you away from it. It's terrible. We experimented on these little beings. It's not okay. You know?
Photographic record.
Hybrid. Sorry.
Ma'am?
I was going to ask, how do we know if we're hybrid?
Well, I went to the trouble.
I
pulled it 5 times, and they even did medical DNA, and they found 8 strands there. They don't know where it came from.
Okay.
I did not match me completely. I'm missing some of my mother's genetics, and I have something else.
Here's the way I look at it. You know, I will say that there are ETs out there that look human. They are human. They're all human, but they look just like us. Which raises serious questions about who we are and our relationship to ETs. We don't, evolution is essentially a theory. Yes, it's true in the fact that we do change, but did we actually originate here on Earth? Don't think so.
Mm.
We are ourselves all of us are
I love
essentially
it.
what we would consider to be extraterrestrials.
Yeah. By the way, Nibiru does not exist. No. Way back when, 286 billion years ago, we had a rogue planet come through us, and it was a failed star. That's how big it was. And it came into our solar system and popped things for us. Saturn is up on its side. It's higher in the ecliptic. Mars is a dead planet, dead core planet, because it blew like a cue ball, popped the entire outside of the planet off. It went dead, and it moved it out of the Goldilocks range. We were on the edge of the Goldilocks range, and it moved us in. But that's a problem because our gravity got heavy at that point, and it got harder. And every time this stuff happens to us, every time our sun micronovas, and it does, we're hit by stuff coming off the sun. It collects all kinds of things from the universe being shot at it. It can't tolerate it, and it goes, the outside can collect stuff, fuzzy, wuzzy, not okay stuff, big, heavy crap, and it does micronova. And every time we've been pelted by something, it's because the sun did that. One of the planets that was in our solar system got pelted so bad it blew up, and we now have a Kuiper belt. It's part of the Kuiper belt. They don't tell you the truth about this stuff. They don't want you to know. We were pulled off Mars before it happened because they knew it was coming. They got us the hell out of Dodge. We were taken to safety, and some of us were brought back here to Earth when Earth calmed down after all this stuff that was going on, and we were reseated here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
we yeah. For a long time. This is one iteration that you think you know and you do not.
Interesting. I was going to ask, there's some people, I mean, I don't believe this, but there's some people like on YouTube, they say that some of these leaders that we have are actually aliens. Is that really true?
No.
So.
No. You know what the
ETs? I meant ETs.
Of
everything. They're lizard people, yeah.
You look bad to take the heat off of them. ETs are not evil in any way. Not at all. No. So they're not gunning for us. If they were, we wouldn't be here anymore. Okay. You have to imagine the universe is a big place, and they have all the resources they need. They don't need them from us. Let's not be that egotistical. There's nothing that special about this planet and this solar system. It's just like everybody else.
So let's put that to bed. ETs are not here to destroy us. Okay, people?
Right.
So
Exactly.
And if they start a national security incident, y'all need to bug out. You need to get away from everybody at that point, because they're going to come out and make you think it's ET to take the heat off of them. They will run you into cities. They will tell you for your safety and then annihilate you. So don't do it.
And those drones because we kind of talked about this earlier, those drones that people were seeing, that wasn't the ET, that was just humans either playing tricks or.
You realize that there are drones that you can fly like a car.
Yeah.
You can go on the internet right now and buy one if you want it. Register it with the FAA and fly the bloody thing.
Wow.
Okay. I'll tell you the difference between an ET drone and one of Earth's.
Okay.
The type of magnetism that they use, their technology, light technology, is so advanced that they can take a drone. Here it is flying its level. This is the top, this is the bottom, and this is all around the sides, right? It can do a 180 rollover all the way to this and then keep going so that it's back up top. It can do 360 in one place at the same time. And you'll see it bob and weave while it's doing it, but it is the only vehicle known to man, because it's theirs and not ours, that can roll over. I've got it on film, okay? If you see a drone that can't do that, or if you hear blades, run, go away. They have anti-grav technology that they took from ET. So you got to be wary. If you see a triangle and it's black, run for your life. It's not okay. It is theirs. It's a TR3B, and it's going to get you. There's another one that's rectangular shaped. It's kind of flat, and it makes a weird noise, by the way, and it has laser cannons on it. Can take you out. Also want to explain another technology that they use against mankind, and you don't even know they're doing it. You know what Doppler radars are, correct?
Yes.
These carry energy that uses electromagnetism, or the fields of it. It creates an electromagnetic field. If you get enough of them within point one another, they can build an array between them. That's how they see whether it's coming in 3D. They can overpower them and create a burst, and it'll ray all the way across, and you'll start seeing a lightning that looks like lasers out of nowhere, and you'll hear it. It goes, That's Doppler hitting you. Get away from it. Go underground. Do whatever you can. Do not stay for that. And they use it against humanity. They can change weather in that area with it, just a teeny tad. They can cause all kinds of hell with that stuff. And they've been putting it up everywhere.
I just had, I don't know what, I just had this thought. You know, the Malaysia airplane that disappeared and they can't find it, and it took ages for them to find parts of it. Is that related to anything that we're talking about? I don't know why. Psychically now, this just came through.
I think that you need to understand that the truth of that is never going to be told to you. So we're only speculating. Yeah. And the only way you'd know the truth of that is if you could read it and see it as it actually happened and know it and confirm it. Mm-hmm. One of the things about Malaysian is that the facts that they did come out with was that pilot was depressed, and that he was doing things on that craft that shows he was depressed because he turned off all the ALS systems. He turned off the GPS homing systems. It went dark. Okay. And it kept flying. There's one thing that could have happened to this craft that would do all those things and explain the whole thing. And it has happened on other jets before. And that is they have a hydraulic break in their systems where they lose containment of oxygen. Mm-hmm. At altitude, at 55,000 feet, which he was at, the plane will automatically go to autopilot and everybody dies, including the pilots. And then it will keep flying for a while on autopilot until it runs out of fuel and then dump. And the horror of this one could be actually that it dumped in the ocean. And they have located it. They know where it is and they're picking at it. So I'm telling you, they probably lost containment and they went down. There's no conspiracy with this.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was just, had that thought, and I just wanted to put that to bed as well, just in case.
Yeah.
Because, I know the truth will never really come out.
Nobody's going to be able to say factoid, this is what happened. The only way they could do that is to actually get the fuselage up and rebuild it back to look at what happened. Right. And the fact that it hit the way it did and it went underwater, a lot of things could mess up their ability to tell even that. So,
do you know when they're coming back, Dolly?
When our polls finish, we're escalating. The polls are moving much faster now. Okay, they're way past Siberia. They're now going at a very fervent rate. So all I can do is estimate, and ET does estimate this. And they're looking at somewhere between 10 months. It could happen right now today, where the magnetosphere lets one in, we go down. It allows the radiation that our planet produces and our field lines and everything to get a little bit more cohesive and stable, and it might drive it to go even faster. But that CME is going to hit us first. So we're looking at anywhere from this moment, 10 months to the CME maybe, and I'm guessing, they're guessing, but we got an outside date of you're looking at 2028 before they finish. That's a long time in our time. 3 years is a long time. And look what's happening right now. Ask yourself. And they are impugned to move their asses to fix things the way they want it, not the way we want it.
Yeah.
If you feel, everybody says, I feel something's coming. Yep, it is. Mm-hmm. You'll all be able to understand what that is, the truth of it. And people are becoming more and more and more agitated, more and more anxious, and la, 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 la. You see the government's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I would give 2 pieces of advice. You can hope that people do the right thing. Don't count on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do the right thing for yourself. Enjoy yourself. Do what you have to do for you. That's what I tell you. So.
Right.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could wrap it up. Do you have any other questions, Natalie? Or
I've got a lot of questions still, but we don't have time. I think we should have a part 2 at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot more, and definitely we'll have a part 2 because
for sure
things are changing and things are happening and the world is changing.
Yeah. I want to say something. Preston works really hard to put books out that can teach you how to use your abilities. Okay. Mm-hmm. He shows that healings are happening and that you can do it yourself as well. If you develop your abilities, and they're very comprehensive. Okay. And I would suggest if you're trying to figure it out, James Monroe is a good guy, but Preston's a good guy too. Go read his books. And then
Definitely Preston.
remember that this is something that you haven't been employing, and it's going to take you a while to teach it to yourself. Be patient with yourself. And the other thing that I can tell you, and Preston says it all the time, meditate.
Yeah.
Calm it all down.
Yeah,
Spiritual
exactly.
disciplines agree on that. Every
Mhm.
religion. That's the one thing they have
Yep.
in common. Every single one of
That
them.
is true.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll definitely have to have you guys back for a part 2 for sure.
Preston, which books would you suggest? Your books, obviously. Which ones would you recommend to people watching that they want to, work on their development and better understand the things that we're talking about today? So we can
I
link
could
them
choose
down
between
below.
30 books, but
Yeah, but which ones?
out of body exploring, I would
Mhm.
absolutely say that that's one that would teach you how to do astral projection.
Okay.
But I also love symmetry because there's some knowledge in there. And I have one about healings, the healing power of UFOs, which I think is one of my most important books because it absolutely refutes the fear-based narrative that our governments are putting forth. But yeah, I'm going to put out another one on out-of-body experiences.
That's
I
right
want people-
behind Symmetry too. It's like half written already. And
Wow.
as soon as this one goes out, he's on it. So it'll come out this year probably.
Amazing.
So when it comes out, we're going to have another one so we can promote his book as well and talk about
So
his
he's
book.
at 32 right now. 33 and 34 will be this year. So
Wow.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate Dolly too. Dolly is under the weather, and she was a trooper through this whole interview, and we really appreciate you and your
Thank you.
knowledge. And Preston too.
I'm here to help. And like I
Yeah.
said, look it up and just prove it to yourself. That's the best thing you can do for yourself and everybody else is know the truth for real. Knowing is better than believing. You know,
I was just going to
Okay.
move past belief to true experiential knowledge. There's a big gap between the two.
Exactly.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
We just
Yeah.
had
Thank you for putting this together.
Did y'all see it? It went from Preston to me and then out. Did you see
Yep.
it?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I
Flash
saw
flood.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's visiting. I don't know who it
Yeah.
is. Figure
I
that out.
saw it.
Yeah.